Coming up, Thailand Tzu Chi volunteers give emotional support to the victims of a recent bombing explosion in Bangkok. We go to Taiwan's Nantou to learn what it means to be labeled as a geographically sensitive area. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Mary Lee. Thank you for joining us. On April 3rd, a suspected World War II-era bomb exploded at a scrapyard in Bangkok, Thailand. Apparently, workers from the scrapyard decided to cut into the bomb with a blowtorch, which detonated the bomb instantly, killing 9 people and injuring 19. After reading the news in the papers, Tzu Chi volunteers arrived at the scene to offer their support.
Twisted metal and debris is all that is left of the scrapyard after an explosion. The massive blast was even heard and felt 500 meters away by residents. The tragic event headlined Bangkok's newspapers, and soon Tzu Chi volunteers arrived to survey the needs of local residents. Currently, 147 families have applied for government aid, and charity organizations have also provided emergency funds. The government is also helping to repair the damaged houses and has provided temporary shelters and rent subsidy for those who need it. Also, medical personnel have been dispatched to assist with the recovery. However, residents remain terrified. Upon seeing Tzu Chi volunteers' friendly faces, they let go of their bottled-up emotions. A warm, loving embrace helps the victims find comfort after the disaster.
It has now been more than a month since Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 first went missing. The Malaysian Chinese Association decided to host a blessing ceremony in Kuala Lumpur to help bring some sense of closure for relatives of the missing. Tzu Chi, which has been there helping the family since the first day, also took part in the ceremony. Here's a look at the volunteers' efforts.
At a blessing ceremony organized by the Malaysian Chinese Association, Dharma Master Zhi Hen of the Malaysian Buddhist Association leads some 3,000 representatives from 10 Buddhist organizations in prayer for flight MH370.
In today's blessing ceremony, we hope to unite our prayers and bring peace to the victims' relatives.
Since the Malaysian airliner disappeared on March 8th with 239 passengers and crew on board, their families and relatives have been able to only worry and wait. Thankfully, Tzu Chi volunteers were there from the start.
Because of this incident, since March 8th, we have mobilized over 600 shifts of volunteers. All of us at Tzu Chi care very much about the missing Malaysia airliner. We empathize with the victims' relatives and are very worried as well.
The volunteers also help the staff of the airline cope with the ordeal.
Because this was such an unexpected incident, the employees also had to face a lot of pressure. So my job is not only to support the victims' relatives, but the staff of Malaysia Airlines as well, by keeping them company and listening to them.
In the month following the flight's disappearance, Tzu Chi has hosted over 10 blessing ceremonies inside a hotel where their families and relatives resided.
Whenever a blessing ceremony was held in a hotel, I discovered that afterwards, the victims' relatives became calmer, as if they had found some form of release.
Hopefully, the power of religion can offer some sense of closure for all those affected by the incident.
马航370，马航370，管制雷达希望看到你，管制雷达希望看到你。如果听得到，请保持现有高度，直飞目的地。放心，我们为你申请直飞，其他好心机组也会配合避让，大家都很乐意让你们第一落地。
MH370 should have landed around 6 in the morning in Beijing. Instead, the plane went missing. At the same time, the Selangor Tzu Chi chapter also received a call. In just half a day, nearly 100 volunteers from Kuala Lumpur were mobilized. They divided into 2 groups. One went to the local airport to help put the relatives of the missing at ease and take calls. The other group flew to Beijing with representatives from Malaysian Airlines. Since arriving at their post, the first group continued to keep the relatives of missing passengers company, offering their support 24/7.
你眼睛都充血很红，是不是很疲累啊？
还好啦，就是身是有点累了，心也不会累了。
By night, the second group had arrived in Beijing and met up with their local counterparts. Together, they offer hot drinks and snacks to the relatives of missing, giving them a venue to vent their frustration. In 2007, Malaysian Airlines signed a memorandum with Tzu Chi, which stated the Buddhist charity will provide Chinese translators in case of an emergency. This time, Dharma also helped put worrying hearts at ease.
Of those chosen to go, all already make home visitations regularly, and our volunteers are always eager to serve. They asked for 20, but 30 signed on instead.
This was no easy mission for the volunteers. On one hand were frustrated and angry relatives of the missing, and on the other were the helpless airline staff. Volunteers could only carry on with empathy and compassion. In the following months, more than 1,000 shifts of volunteers were mobilized between Malaysia and China, giving aching hearts a place to find solace.
I'm truly touched. I'm so grateful for your presence.
To me, it is my Lord who has supported me.
When a volunteer sits next to you, you don't have to exchange a word, and already there's a sense of calmness and peace.
In Myanmar, the Burmese celebrate their New Year in mid-April through what is known as the Songkran Festival. As this year's festival is just around the corner, Tzu Chi volunteers purchased New Year's gifts and daily necessities to deliver to the doorsteps of care recipients.
As the New Year is just around the corner for the Burmese, Tzu Chi volunteers in Yangon City are busy purchasing gifts for more than 100 impoverished families.
The
Songkran Festival, or Water Festival, is the New Year celebrations that take place in Southeast Asian countries around mid-April. Since 2009, Tzu Chi volunteers have been providing care recipients with New Year's gifts prior to the festival. This year, the volunteers added stainless steel lunchboxes to their gift list.
Normally, locals use a lot of plastic bags when purchasing food from the market. It is not very eco-friendly. This year, our goal is to focus on environmental protection, so we decided to give each family a stainless steel lunchbox.
At the local Tzu Chi liaison office, Tzu Chi volunteers and scholarship recipients gathered to pack gift boxes for more than 100 underprivileged families.
Last year, I received the New Year's gifts from the volunteers. I didn't know they had to go through so much trouble to pack these boxes. Some of the volunteers felt tired and had back pain as they were packing the gift boxes. I am very happy and honored to have this opportunity to volunteer with everyone.
Next, scholarship recipients and volunteers go door to door, delivering gift boxes to care recipients.
Starting from today, I will work hard in school and be a good kid. I will continue saving a handful of rice every day to help those in greater need. Happy New Year, Master Zheng Yan and Tzu Chi volunteers.
Thanks to the event, scholarship recipients discover the joy of giving, while care recipients promise to donate their love to help those in greater need.
Whenever natural disasters strike Taiwan, those living in the mountains seems to be affected the most. Recently, the Taiwanese government issued a statement outlining geographically sensitive areas across the island, with Nantou County the first region to be named. Although named a danger zone, if no further action is taken, then what good are such labels? Let's take a look at what it means to be labeled a geographically sensitive area.
The movie Beyond Beauty, Taiwan from Above revealed a side of Taiwan citizens haven't seen before. The beautiful scenery here at Qingjing Farm attracts tourists on a continual basis, and is behind the recent boom in commercial construction. However, with so many buildings erected, how will this affect this geologically sensitive area, and what will a government declare bulletin stating this fact change? On March 31st this year, Taiwan's Ministry of Economic Affairs declared Nantou County as the island's most landslide-prone area. The information released on their website saw 5 revisions, and upon inspection, the first and final drafts varied greatly. On the first map, the sensitive areas, marked in red, covered almost the entire map. But when the final draft was released, the sensitive areas, now marked in yellow, shrunk by a third, covering only dip slope zones and areas where landslides were recorded in the past.
This doesn't mean if an area is not marked as a geological sensitivity, then you are safe. From a broader perspective, if you are surrounded by a sensitive area, then your area is sensitive also.
Looking at the situation at hand, it is an issue that isn't as plain as black or white.
I'm a local living here, and I don't feel like this area is a danger zone. Other residents are baffled as well, since most of us do not know much about the geography of this land.
Local residents are not wrong to say that in the last decade or so, they haven't seen a natural disaster in the area. However, looking at the past history of the land, Qingjing was an area in which the government settled Yunnan and Burmese veterans and their families after World War II. The surrounding land, which belonged to the Aboriginal people, also helped the stability as well.
The surrounding environment has been relatively untouched and safe from natural disasters, so Qingjing hasn't suffered from landslides. This leads residents to think the area is safe, but data reveals land slippage has occurred.
Furthermore, the government's indecisiveness between further land development to help the economy or safety concerns for its citizens and the land has put a damper over Qingjing. From clearing the land for agriculture to developing it for tourism, laws and regulations have often been bent to benefit the business side of things. After an incident known as the Lincoln Mansion disaster in 1997, laws were made stating that on a slope 100 meters or more in length, if the slope is over 30 meters high, then buildings cannot be constructed on it.
This law was established in 1997, so any buildings built after that date had to adhere to the law. However, the more recent constructions have not followed the regulations. This is why we say many of the bed and breakfasts in Qingjing are illegal.
In Xinjiang, over 79% of the land slopes at over 30%, yet buildings continue to stand. So what are the risks?
They definitely did not submit their proposal to the Soil and Water Conservation Bureau. Even if they did, it must have been a simplified version, and thus it was approved based on fraudulent information.
How best to achieve a balance between economic gain and environmental conservation in developing geographically sensitive areas seem to test the heart and wisdom of both citizens and their governments.
In central Taiwan, to make sure senior residents are living in a safe environment, Hongdao Senior Foundation has partnered with President Chain Store Corporation to set up a volunteer team that offers needy residents free home renovation services. And along similar lines in Taichung City, a community-based woodworking workshop has been using recycled wooden boards to make furniture for needy families.
Wood boards filled up this woodworking workshop as carpenters remove any nails in them before giving them a second lease on life. After a thorough polish, the wood is ready to be made into furniture. Workers use glue to connect the wood and make a sturdy table.
This table has been assembled with several pieces of wood. It requires time and skill.
This workshop uses discarded wood to make simple furniture like stools or desks, which will then be given to needy families. Thanks to this electronics company in central Taiwan, these wooden bowls, which were used for packaging, are now given a second lease on life.
Since it is a charity event, most companies are willing to take part.
It is a cycle of kindness. We need to cherish our resources. These materials are still useful. Although they are used, they are still in good shape. If you give them to us, we will make good use of them.
Turning these second-hand materials into useful items not only helps safeguard our planet, but also provides needy families with much-needed aid. This is Grandpa Deng's house, which was built with bamboo and mud bricks some 50 years ago. However, now the house is close to crumbling.
This pillar is eroded. You can see the steel inside here. If this pillar fell, the whole roof would topple as well.
In Taiwan, 60% of senior residents live in unsafe homes like Grandpa Deng's. For Grandma Li, the maze and narrow passages in her home make her life unsafe and inconvenient.
It's hard for me to walk over the door threshold.
A few days ago, Grandma Li tripped in the bathroom, leaving her arm seriously bruised. According to statistics, accidental falls are the second leading cause of accidental death for seniors in Taiwan.
Many things can cause seniors to accidentally fall, like insufficient lighting, door thresholds, or a wet bathroom.
To ensure senior residents live in a safe environment, Hongdao Seniors Foundation and President Chen Store Corp are working in partnership to form a volunteer team that provides home renovation services for senior residents in central Taiwan.
The China International Furniture Fair in Suzhou not only gave consumers a chance to shop, but also charitable giving. Footage of Tzu Chi's aid to students in need was shown at the fair, which prompted businesses to take action by holding a charity auction. At the same time, some passersby also signed up to join Tzu Chi volunteers' ranks.
At the China International Furniture Fair in Suzhou, participants eagerly bid for the furniture on auction, as they know it is all for a good cause. A proper education is the best chance the poor have to reverse their fortune. After last October's flood in Suzhou, local Tzu Chi volunteers extended their aid and scholarships to 2 local schools, which serve as children of migrant workers. After seeing footage of Tzu Chi's charity work at the fair, 18 businesses decided to help by hosting a charity auction.
Everyone, by contributing 100 RMB, a student may afford an extra book and might have another chance to continue learning.
Zhang Ping has long paid attention to the Buddhist charity and helped make this auction possible.
I believe these students are our future as well, and by helping them with their education, we are also helping them improve their hometown.
At the same time, volunteers promoted Tzu Chi's ideals to passers-by. Some responded by signing up as a volunteer, while some joined the auction to share their compassion.
6 months ago, when the Tzu Chi Free Health Screening and Medical Clinic in Singapore first began its morning Dharma study group to watch Master Zhen Yan's Wisdom at Dawn broadcast, Tzu Chi volunteer Zhang Aiping was the only one who attended the morning session. Today, Zhang is joined by more than 30 volunteers and members of the public. Zhang has also taken it upon herself to arrive earlier than everyone else to set up the video conferencing facility, as well as prepare breakfast for all the participants.
Just before the clock strikes 5, volunteer Zhang Aiping is already at the Tzu Chi Free Health Screening and Medical Clinic. She only has 20 minutes to finish preparing breakfast and set up the video conferencing facility.
I have to make sure the video conferencing and the projectors are set up and also prepare the register for the day.
Although in a race against time, Zhang nevertheless feels content.
Finally, when I arrived one day, I saw a group of people. The first time I saw more than 30 people here, I was so moved I wanted to cry.
One can relate to Zhang's appreciation for the Master's Dharma. For 1.5 years, she attended the morning sessions at the clinic alone, but she never thought of giving up.
Although I started to practice Buddhism many years ago, I never thought of taking the path of Buddhahood. But the Master's teachings give us confidence, and I realized that we all actually have the potential to become a Buddha. We just have to work hard. I cooked the rice the night before, so it will be quicker to prepare the next day.
To make sure volunteers don't go to work on an empty stomach after their study group, Zhang and volunteer Xu Xueyou prepare breakfast for the participants. Although Zhang is not good at cooking, fortunately there are others willing to lend a hand.
We're so thankful, and it is a nutritious and healthy bowl of porridge. We have the Dharma as nourishment for the mind, and this porridge is nourishment for our body.
Zhang Aiping no longer feels alone on the path of cultivation, as watching Master Zheng Yan's Wisdom at Dawn broadcast has also spurred other volunteers to exert even more potential on their spiritual journey.
In our next report, we meet 67-year-old Xu Amei, who first started to learn to use a computer when she was 60 years old. With determination and hard work, she went on to be a computer teacher at Tzu Chi University's Continuing Education Center. But first, we meet 78-year-old Huang Bingquan, who invented a new way to write Chinese calligraphy using only a piece of cloth.
Folding a piece of cloth into a rectangular shape before dipping it into a bowl of ink is 78-year-old Huang Bingquan, who has come up with a new way to write Chinese calligraphy using only a piece of cloth.
I started writing Chinese calligraphy using cloth when I was 31 years old. I don't think it had been done before. I used to practice in secret. I didn't tell my wife about it.
With creativity and countless practice, Huang Bingquan has turned an ordinary piece of cloth into a writing tool. His dedication has even won him recognition from the Japanese Calligraphy Institute.
I am not better than anyone else sitting in the class. We are learning everything together.
Teaching computer skills to seniors is 67-year-old Xu Amei, who is a computer teacher at Tzu Chi University's Continuing Education Center in Kaohsiung, Taiwan.
I started using a computer around 1997. Before that, I didn't know any English. I started learning from the drawing system to ABCs. I used to dream about the letters in my sleep.
She enrolled in junior high school when she was 19, and it was not until she reached 60 that she started using a computer. However, thanks to her commitment, she received her computer teacher certification at the age of 64.
She's a hardworking person. I need to learn more from her.
A model of how one is never too old to learn. In the years to come, she hopes to inspire more seniors to embrace new technology and thus stay connected to the world around them.
At the end of the show, a team of doctors from Kaohsiung, Taiwan uses break time to care for seniors who suffer from Alzheimer's. At this latest visit, he brought members of the Tzu Chi parent and child class along to spread some joy. We will leave you with these images. Thank you for watching DaAi Headlines. Goodbye.